He doesn't look back with regret. He doesn't rank his memories. Paul McCartney simply remembers, and the world feels warmer. For over 60 years, his melodies have carried hope. He was the melody maker, the eternal optimist, music long. When the band turned experimental, he kept the songs human. When they grew apart, he held the harmony together. When it ended, he never stopped believing in what they built. The music was always bigger than the drama. But hidden inside all those hits, all those classics, are moments that still move him. Songs that remind him why he started, why 4 kids from Liverpool changed everything. McCartney remembers which tracks felt like magic, which ones still make him proud after all these years. He's written thousands, touched millions of lives, but only 5 songs stayed closest to his heart. These are Paul McCartney's Beatles favorites. The ones that define not just the band, but the man. Songs that prove love really is all you need. The keeper of the legacy has chosen 5. Let It Be. Some songs are messages. This one was a prayer. Let It Be came to Paul in a dream about his mother. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. Mary McCartney had died when he was just 14. But in that dream, she was there again. And so when someone who you've lost comes back to you in a dream, it's a miraculous moment, because you're with them, telling him everything would be okay, that he should let things happen naturally. Paul woke up with the melody complete in his head. The words followed like they were meant to be. He sat at the piano and played what he remembered. It felt like his mother was still in the room, still giving him comfort when he needed it most, still being the mother he lost too young. The song became the Beatles' final single. It was fitting a message of peace during chaos. The band was falling apart around him. Arguments every day, lawsuits and lawyers. But this song reminded everyone why they started, why music mattered more than money. Recording it was emotional for everyone. Paul's voice carried years of pain and healing. The gospel feeling came naturally. This wasn't just a pop song anymore. It was a hymn, a prayer set to music, something bigger than any one person. The piano melody was simple but perfect. Paul didn't try to show off or impress. He just let the emotion flow through his fingers. I wanted it to feel like a mother's hug, he said. Something warm and safe in a cold world, a reminder that love never really dies. Live performances always felt sacred. Audiences sang along like they were in church. Paul could see people crying in the front rows, not from sadness, but from recognition. Everyone had lost someone they loved. Everyone needed to hear those words. The song gave comfort to millions worldwide. It played at funerals and weddings, in hospitals and graduation ceremonies. Because Paul had turned his personal grief into universal hope, had shown that letting go doesn't mean giving up. Sometimes it means trusting that everything will work out. For Paul, Let It Be represents the power of faith, how personal pain can become shared healing, how the simplest messages cut the deepest. 4. Penny Lane. Home isn't just a place, sometimes it's a song. Penny Lane wasn't about showing off or being clever. Bennett showed photographs of every head. It was about going back to where it all began, back to Liverpool streets and childhood memories, back to when the world was small and everything felt possible. Bart kind of thing, those photos. So, that got the line, there's a barber showing photographs of every head he's had the pleasure to know. Paul painted his youth with melodies and made everyone else homesick too. The street was real. Paul walked it every day as a kid. He knew the barbershop, the bank, the bus stop. Every character in the song was someone he remembered. The fireman with the hourglass, the banker in his motor car. These weren't just lyrics, they were neighbors. People who shaped his world before fame, changed everything forever. Recording it felt like building a time machine. Paul wanted every instrument to tell part of the story. The trumpet solo wasn't just decoration, it was the sound of happiness. The harmonies weren't just pretty, they were brotherhood. Every detail mattered because this was his childhood on vinyl, his gift to anyone who ever missed being young. The song became more than nostalgia. It became an escape. Radio listeners could visit Penny Lane without ever going to Liverpool. They could feel that warmth, that safety of knowing everyone's name. Paul had created a place where summers lasted forever, where nothing bad ever happened, and friends never moved away. Live performances always made Paul smile. He could see audiences dreaming of their own penny lanes, their own special places that time couldn't touch. The song connected him to fans across generations, because everyone had somewhere they wanted to go back to, somewhere that felt like home. For Paul Penny, Lane proves that the smallest details create the biggest emotions. That growing up doesn't mean forgetting where you came from. That sometimes the best way forward is looking back with love instead of regret. 3. Yesterday, dreams don't usually come with melodies. This one did. Paul woke up one morning with a complete song in his head. Every note was there. Every word felt right. He rushed to the piano, afraid it might disappear. What came out was yesterday. Yesterday. All my truths, the most honest thing he'd ever written. A song so personal, it scared him to share it. At first he thought he'd stolen it from someone else. The melody was too perfect, too complete. He played it for friends, asking if they'd heard it before. Nobody had, but everyone felt like they should have. It was the kind of song that felt like it had always existed, like Paul had just discovered it instead of creating it. The Beatles didn't know what to do with it. It was too sad, too slow, too different from their sound. John and George couldn't find their place in it. Ringo had nothing to play. So Paul recorded it alone with just a string quartet. His first solo moment inside the band, his voice naked and vulnerable against classical instruments. The song became something bigger than the Beatles. Other artists covered it immediately, each finding their own pain in Paul's words. It wasn't just about lost love anymore. It was about lost time, lost chances, lost people, lost versions of yourself that you could never get back. Everyone had their own. Yesterday they couldn't escape. Paul still plays it differently every time. Sometimes quiet and broken, sometimes strong and accepting. The melody never changes, but the emotion always does. Because yesterday isn't just one song. It's every regret anyone has ever carried. Every moment they wish they could relive or undo. For Paul, yesterday proves that vulnerability creates connection. That the songs that scare you most to share are usually the ones people need most to hear. To a day in the life. 4 minds became one, and the result changed music forever. A day in the life wasn't supposed to work. Paul had one song fragment. John had another. 2 different stories, 2 different moods. No obvious way to connect them. We wrote that little section as I'd love to, we kind of looked at each other. But somehow, in that magical way, the Beatles had the pieces found each other. What emerged wasn't just a song. It was a revolution disguised as a pop record. John's part came from reading the newspaper. He saw a story about a car crash, another about potholes in the road. Real life turned into poetry. Everyday tragedy made beautiful through melody. His voice was distant, almost floating, like he was reporting from another world. Paul knew immediately that this wasn't just another John song. This was something deeper, something that needed careful handling to reach its full potential. Paul's section was completely different. Upbeat, rushing, full of life and movement. A man getting ready for work, catching a bus, living an ordinary day. But when they put the 2 parts together, magic happened. The ordinary and the cosmic collided. Life and death, routine and mystery, all held together by that famous orchestral crescendo that still gives people chills today. Recording the orchestra was pure chaos and pure genius. They gave 40 classical musicians one simple instruction. Start at the lowest note you can play. End at the highest. How you get there is up to you. The result was unlike anything anyone had ever heard before. Not quite classical, not quite rock, something entirely new that belonged only to the Beatles. The song proved they weren't just a pop band anymore. They were artists, experimenters, dreamers who could take risks and make them pay off. Radio stations didn't know what to do with it. Critics called it pretentious, then called it genius. But Paul knew they'd created something special, something that showed what four friends could accomplish when they trusted each other completely. For Paul, a day in the life represents the peak of collaboration. When individual talents become something greater than their sum, one Here Comes the Sun. Some songs chase away darkness. This one brought back the light. Here Comes the Sun wasn't even Paul's song, but it became his favorite Beatles track. George Harrison wrote it during a break from business meetings and band tensions. He sat in Eric Clapton's garden with an acoustic guitar, feeling the first warm day of spring. What came out was pure joy, and Paul heard it immediately. But you can't help thinking, boy, you know we could really develop this one. Unfortunately, I now have to just do it my way. This was what the Beatles were supposed to sound like when everything else felt complicated. George had always been the quiet one, the spiritual seeker, the one who found peace in simple things. This song captured all of that in 3 minutes. The lyrics were almost childlike in their happiness, but that's what made them perfect. After years of complex arrangements and heavy themes, here was something that just celebrated being alive. Paul knew instantly that this was George's masterpiece, and he was proud to be part of making it real. Recording it felt like therapy for the whole band. The tensions melted away as they worked on the harmonies. Paul's bass lines danced around George's guitar like old friends reuniting. The Moog synthesizer added colors nobody had heard before, but it never overpowered the song's gentle heart. Everyone in the studio could feel that they were capturing something special, something that would outlast all their arguments and legal problems. The song became everyone's comfort blanket. Radio stations played it on difficult days. Wedding DJs used it for morning ceremonies. Cancer patients requested it in hospitals. Paul watched it heal people in ways he never expected. George had written something that transcended music and became medicine, a reminder that no matter how dark things got, spring always returned eventually. Paul still gets emotional when he plays it live, not because it's sad, but because it's so purely hopeful. In a catalog full of love songs and revolution anthems, this simple celebration of sunshine stands out. It reminds him why they started making music in the first place, not to be famous or rich, but to make people feel better about being human. For Paul, Here Comes the Sun represents friendship, optimism, and the power of believing tomorrow will be brighter than today. For Paul, a song isn't great until it makes people smile. These 5 represent his heart faith, home, honesty, collaboration, and hope. The optimist who turned pain into healing, memories into magic. Together, they show why the Beatles still matter 50 years later. Which Beatles song brings you the most joy? Share your favorite in the comments and subscribe for more musical legends.